The second coming is coming. The second coming is coming, and it has absolutely nothing to do with Jesus Christ. So all of you misogynistic Bible thumpers who are brainwashed by religion, you might want to just step off, back off, get out of here and keep moving, because you are going to be triggered. This planet got dominated, taken over by dysfunctional, sadistic sadists who wanted to rule a planet and dominate and desecrate the feminine. There's your patriarchal rulers, cult leaders, psychopaths. They came here to dominate and desecrate the feminine and wipe the feminine from the planet so that they could rule this planet and turn it into a slave planet instead of the planet of oneness that it once was, what it originally was. This planet was governed by, it was taken care of by goddesses, by feminine, not by masculine. The second coming is sacred feminine. It's goddesses coming back. This planet, planet Earth, is a feminine planet. Always was, always has been, always will be. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode. Hello, magnificent beings. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast. I'm Rachel Fiori, founder, creator, CEO of Masters of Self University and of this podcast, of course. So welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Y'all, the second coming is coming. Did you know that? The second coming is coming. And it has absolutely nothing to do with Jesus Christ. So all of you misogynistic Bible thumpers who are brainwashed by religion, you might want to just step off, back off, get out of here and keep moving, because you are going to be triggered if you stick around and listen to this particular episode. And of course, if you really are drowning in the brainwashing of patriarchal religion, that's a cult. That's the cult that rules the world. So if you really are in that cult, this is going to trigger the bloody hell out of you, because everything that you're brainwashed to believe as a misogynist and as a cult follower is going to be revealed here in this episode. Isn't that so exciting? So you can just piss off and move on if that's you, because there's no tolerance here for this. You'll reveal yourself if you stick around, that's for sure. For everybody else who wants to understand, when you're elevating and healing and you're aware of the cults that rule the world, our governments that are cults that rule the world, and you're aware of the bigger picture, you're waking up for real. I know y'all have heard of the second coming, but what does that really mean? Because there is everything out there, from it's nonsense and ridiculous, and it was never meant to be, that, Jesus was coming back for real, like himself, like he's going to reincarnate. And it means, no, here's spiritual people's take. It means this Christ consciousness is coming back. Christ consciousness never left, my dears. What are you talking about? Christ consciousness never actually left. It's there as a frequency for anybody and everybody to become themselves a level of enlightenment with it, which is Christ consciousness. At this stage of the spiritual war, at this stage of the game, Christ consciousness is not the highest level of enlightenment that humans can embody, become, and achieve themselves. It isn't. It's oneness consciousness. It's oneness consciousness. Okay. So the second coming is coming. We're going to talk about and understand what that really means and what that is, because it is happening more powerfully now than ever before. But it isn't about Christ consciousness. It isn't about Jesus. And by the way, Jesus is one of my favorite people. He's one of my favorite ascended masters. He's a beautiful, beautiful being that came to this planet and taught alongside his partner, who was also an ascended master and enlightened being of Christ consciousness at that time, Mary Magdalene. They taught together as teachers. Of course, patriarchy and religion, because patriarchal religion is going to rip the feminine out of every fucking thing, turn everything upside down, ass backwards, twist it around, and give you a manipulated bullshit version of anything that actually happened. We should know, as people who are awakening for real, that that's the Bible's a bunch of crap. That's what it is. It's made by man. All of it's man-made. And of course, there's going to be little bits and pieces of truth and things, because that is the easiest way to brainwash you for real and get you trapped in the cult that exists. That's what cults do. Isn't it funny how the cults that rule the world teach you about cults, that anything that is not following a patriarchal, violent, misogynistic, quote unquote, religion, which is the cult itself, teaches you that anything that is in oneness, that is in community, that is feminine in nature, which is oneness consciousness, the actual creator of all that is God is feminine, the one of all. That's feminine, goddess. But of course, if you go against brainwashing religion that is patriarchal, dualistic, separation consciousness, that is a cult system of enslavement, if you say anything against that, you're the one in a cult. I mean, come on, it's hilarious. And this is what waking up for real is, like seeing how ridiculous this nonsense is, and that people have been trapped in it for so long. But it's time to wake up for real. So to understand the second coming is coming. Oh, it's coming. It is infusing into the planet, integrating into the planet, and it's just, to a certain degree, it's here. But it is coming. And that second coming, so you have to understand something. When Jesus and Mary Magdalene came here to offer the beautiful teachings that they came here to offer as masters and fully enlightened, as Christ consciousness enlightenment at that level. Remember, Christ consciousness is a subcategory of oneness. Do you understand? It's an aspect of, a fractal of, an extension of oneness. It's it's a 2 steps down lower from what oneness consciousness, 3 steps down lower, 3 octaves lower than oneness consciousness is one way I could put it. But it is a subcategory of oneness. At the time that Jesus really brought that to the planet, and taught about it and embodied it, he and Mary Magdalene themselves embodied it and taught it and demonstrated and taught people how to also become it themselves. Like, that's what they came here to do. And the beautiful things that they were here to offer, they were preparing people for what was to come. They were here to prepare people for the eventual second coming. And the second coming isn't them coming back. And it isn't Christ consciousness coming back, because it never left. It's literally the sacred feminine. It's goddesses coming back. This planet, planet Earth, is a feminine planet. Always was, always has been, always will be. This planet got dominated, taken over by dysfunctional, sadistic sadists who wanted to rule a planet and dominate and desecrate the feminine. There's your patriarchal rulers, cult leaders, psychopaths. They came here to dominate and desecrate the feminine and wipe the feminine from the planet so that they could rule this planet and turn it into a slave planet instead of the planet of oneness that it once was, what it originally was. And it was a planet that was quote unquote ruled, not that dominating, evil definition of ruling that patriarchy offered to us and taught us. But this planet was governed by, it was ruled by, it was taken care of by goddesses, by feminine, not by masculine. And you have to understand, masculine is feminine. Oh, what you say now, Rachel? What the fuck's that mean? Masculine is not without feminine, because masculine is birthed from the feminine. Hello. You only exist because feminine birthed you, right? Think about that. So masculine, when we talk about healthy, wonderful, beautiful masculine energy, that does not exist in separation of feminine. So healthy masculine literally does not exist if it isn't in oneness with feminine, because it is essentially feminine. It's an extension of feminine energy. She created you, she birthed you. Do you understand? If masculine ceases to exist and there is no masculine energy, feminine energy still exists because it's the creator of all things. It births all things. It doesn't need masculine energy to thrive. Ooh, anybody triggered yet? It doesn't. That's what birthed you and created you and gave you life. It doesn't need masculine energy to thrive. So if I'm the original one creator energy, vibrational frequency, and I birth things and manifest and create things into existence, do I then, when I birth you into existence, need you to keep existing? No. But do you need me to keep existing? Yes. You see how this works? If a mother births a child, what does the child need to thrive and exist? Its mother. Literally oneness from its mother. It needs nutrients, it needs sustenance, it needs food, which comes from the mother. It comes from her. Protection, nurturing comes from the feminine. That's what that being needs to exist. If that I know this is a gruesome example, and we're not trying to be negative here, but stay with me. If that baby dies, does that mean the mother ceases to exist because the baby died? No, the mother continues to live. Do you understand? So let's get this real straight here. The second coming is sacred feminine. It's goddesses coming back to say, we're tired of being lied about. We're tired of being called dark goddesses. We're tired of all being called witches when you've turned witch into this nasty, evil, crazy, woman healer. Like witches weren't burned. Women were. Healers were. Wise women, elevated teachers were burned and murdered and slaughtered over the centuries. Let's understand what really happened over the centuries when a planet got dominated, taken as a slave planet, and what is the best way to enslave people other than the brainwashing and the murder and the raping and the fear and all of that is to turn, much of its population, rip the feminine out of everything, because then you cease to exist the loving, nurturing creator aspect of you. The creator, the one, is nothing but feminine. That's oneness consciousness. That's the one who created you. That's goddess. So as far as men are concerned, if men, when a patriarchal society rips feminine out of you and makes sure you oppress it within yourself, so that it, for the most part, doesn't and can't exist within you. Remember, every human being has feminine and masculine energy, all birthed from the feminine. So if you rip the feminine out, what happens? Destruction. Think about this as a bigger analogy, because I've already mentioned this. Self-destruction and destruction of everything else around you occurs when feminine does not exist inside of you. Look at what patriarchy has done to men. Look at how patriarchy has brainwashed men to live completely disconnected from their feminine. And that means violence, domination, objectification, all the horrible things that men are, emotionally immature, emotionally fragile. That's what patriarchy does to men. And horrific things to women, of course. But you have to understand that if you yourself, if you are a man and you are not connected to the feminine aspect of you, then you're not whole, you're toxic, you damage, yourself and others. You cause harm. You're destructive. You're not in balance because you are disconnected from the actual, the creator, the one, which is divine feminine energy. You destruct, you destroy. Do you understand? There is no other way. Look at the whole planet. By patriarchy taking over and trying to desecrate and remove the feminine from the planet, look at what's happened to the entire planet. I mean, the entire planet is dying because of it, because it cannot thrive and live in a healthy way without the creator energy. That's life force energy, is divine feminine energy. And that is supposed to flow through every being on the planet, every human on the planet. Right? So if you are completely disconnected from the feminine, that means you're completely disconnected from the creator. Which is why all the sabotage, all the destruction, all the toxicity, all the objectification, all the abuse, all the violence, all the horrific things like owning and dominating and raping and pillaging and murder, and I mean, all the horrific things come from the fact that you have desecrated the feminine inside of you. And I need to give you a quick reminder here. What does it mean to be feminine? It has nothing to do with your hair, your fucking nails, what clothes you wear, if you wear, pretty dresses and high heels. What the fuck does that have to do with divine feminine energy other than absolutely fucking nothing? You have to stop being at the level of ignorance that thinks when you hear the word feminine or divine feminine or sacred feminine, that somehow means some social brainwashing patriarchal social construct that has been implanted into the world, where it means has anything to do with curves and lust and sensuality. What the fuck are you talking about? If you want to wear high heels or dresses or paint your nails or do whatever, or wear makeup or color your hair different, whatever the hell you want to do, go do it. Have fun. It's you. It's your body. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. Man or woman, by the way. If you're a man, a biological man, and you want to become trans woman, or you want to dress up in women's clothes, go for it. Go fucking have fun. That has nothing to do with divine feminine energy, though. That's not what divine feminine energy is or sacred feminine energy is. It's the one creator energy. It's goddess energy, period, end. It is the energy that created all things that exist and is in all things. That's goddess energy. That's divine feminine energy, which is oneness consciousness. So the second coming, because we were originally a goddess planet, a feminine planet of oneness, of harmony, working together, unified as one. That is coming back. That is the second coming. The level of enlightenment, of oneness that we can become, and we can use these frequencies that we are becoming ourselves, the universal ways of oneness, these frequencies that we become as we become beings of oneness consciousness. That's all feminine. That's sacred feminine. That's the one creator of all, goddess energy coming back to the planet. The true goddesses that once, again, different definition of the word, ruled, but governed, that loved, that nurtured, that directed and guided on this planet, were all goddesses. They weren't gods. There's no such thing as gods. They're fucking made up. They're man-made. God is made up. It's man-made. It's bullshit. The people that the God of the Bible is a made-up lunatic, sociopathic, raping demon that you worship and you've been tricked into worshiping. It isn't the one creator. That's, first of all, God is. It's the one that birthed everything into existence, that births other beings, that can birth other beings into existence. So that satanic demon that people worship, called God of the Bible, all that man-made bullshit, gods are man-made bullshit. They're either completely man-made and fake, completely made up to replace and take over and dominate, or they're male beings that are sociopathic, rapists, violent, war igniting sociopaths. Like, think about this. When you think of a God, you think about the one that created. That is a benevolent, loving, powerful being. Do you think that being, do you think that a God, an actual God, rapes women, rapes children, murders, rapes and eats babies, like pillages, separates, creates separation consciousness, makes women subservient? Like, can anybody use any level of critical thinking when they think about what the God of the Bible, all that psychopathic bullshit that's brainwashed into you so you don't critically think on your own, so that you disconnect from your divinity inside of yourself? Because that's all part of creating a slave planet. Just dumb, blind followers of blind faith that believe whatever the fuck you're told to believe with no critical thinking skills. Let that sink in. So here's the thing. You think gods who go raping women are actual gods? Or are they man-made bullshit stories in order to invoke fear, domination, and patriarchal control? And some beings that were real, that you've been tricked into calling gods, are just exactly what I just said. They're not actual gods. They're psychopathic monsters who rape and control and murder. So, hello, are we have brains. It's time that we made the free will choice to start actually using them. When we think about what's been fed to us for so long. Okay, you're not going to wake up to all of it at one time. That's impossible. You know, you can only handle so much at one time as a human with the centuries of piling on the brainwashing and the manipulation and the enslavement and the control. So you're going to awaken, to wake up for real in phases, and you're going to take, master level, and then the next level, and then the next level higher. That's normal and natural. Okay. But my challenge for you is, because here's what I see. We still live as brainwashed, dualistic, duality consciousness, which is separation consciousness, which is patriarchal consciousness. When we talk about anybody that mentions the second coming, it's either, oh, it's a load of crap. Jesus never going to come back. And it's automatically a man and it's automatically Jesus. Do you not understand that that was planted? That that's part of Christianity, lying and bullshitting and planting that seed. You know why? To manipulate you into believing, of course, a man is going to come back and lead everybody, when this is a feminine planet. A oneness consciousness is nothing but feminine. That's part of the brainwashing people, that Jesus is coming back. And even for those of you that are like, well, it isn't actually Jesus, it's Christ. No, it isn't, because you associate Christ consciousness with Jesus himself, with a man. That's not the second coming. Goddesses are flooding this planet like I have never witnessed before. And I mean all of them. They are done with being lied about, with being called witches, and witches being dark and evil, etc. They are tired. They are done with being labeled as temptresses and manipulators and prostitutes and whores, and dark. All these dark goddesses, get the fuck out of here. All the nonsense has to come to the light. The second coming is coming. It's happening. And it's all the goddesses that are these benevolent, loving, and powerful. Like, fuck around and find out, but not in an evil way, in a divinely powerful way. They're all flooding this planet. They are coming forward more powerfully than I have ever witnessed before. And of course, they've been showing up and working through people and connecting to those who are, waking up for real and guiding them and helping them to elevate and teaching them. And, that's been happening forever, for a very long period of time. But man, I'm telling you, the goddesses and the ascended masters, the true goddesses, the real ones, this is the second coming. Oneness consciousness is coming back, and that is feminine. That's a feminine planet. That's a matriarchal society of oneness where we unite together and we work together to benefit all. That's what oneness consciousness is. That's what feminine is. It is the creator of life. It is also the nurturer of life, working together in harmony in order for everyone to thrive, in order for everyone to be honored as the way of honoring, as the way of harmony, to harmonize anything that is in disharmony, anything that lacks equality or lacks compassion. You become the way of equality. You help each other elevate and learn. You become the way of compassion and offer these frequencies. In creating and growing our own food for each other to benefit everyone, that is filled with nothing but potent nutrients, medicinal medicines that are grown from the earth, ecosystems brought back, regenerative farming being brought back to the land, right? Think about our farming practices that have destroyed and desecrated the earth, our soil, using poisons and cancer-causing agents, pesticides and Roundup and all that crap. All of that, patriarchy, patriarchy, patriarchy. That's separation consciousness. Separation consciousness is kill all the things and grow one crop only. Separation consciousness is grow one crop only. Doesn't even make any sense. The crop cannot thrive. The soil cannot thrive. The organisms in the soil, the insects, the animals, the critters that work together to create an entire ecosystem, none of them can live and thrive to protect the crops, by the way, so that everybody wins and thrives. That's oneness consciousness. That's feminine. Communities that are based on, smaller farms, regenerative farms where everything and everyone thrives, and not mass, big ag farming that does nothing but promote more separation consciousness where everybody perishes, everybody's poisoned, everybody is harmed in some way. The animals are, the land is, the crops are, the people that eat the crops are, the animals that eat the crops that are grown for them are harmed and poisoned. I mean, come on. All of that is patriarchy. All of that is separation consciousness, because that's what patriarchy is. It's a slave planet. So if you're not growing all of the crops that need to be grown together, that benefit and help each other, allowing all the different bugs and insects that you want to have in there to protect your garden, all the different herbs that need to be grown with different crops to protect the crops. Like, there's a whole ecosystem. There are animals that need to be offered and introduced to gardens and small farms and things in order for all of it to thrive. That's an ecosystem of oneness. So if you have a small garden and you want to make your own small garden, for example, you need to do your research and understand, well, what herbs need to be planted with your vegetables, and what several vegetables or whatever you want to grow. Like, what do you want to grow, but what grows well together, because certain crops grow well and benefit one another. That's just an example of oneness consciousness. And remember, oneness consciousness is feminine. It's goddess, the creator of all. That's the second coming. So, oh my gosh, all these goddesses. I mean, I could do an entire series on them. Maat, Sekhmet, Lilith, Hecate. Oh, Hecate, triple goddess. Hecate, I could do an entire podcast just on an introduction of who Hecate is. Now, I want to remind you when I mention any goddess's name, um, centuries of lies, twisted truths to make these magnificent goddesses and even ascended masters like Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary, their ascended masters. Like Mary Magdalene is called a prostitute, and 7 demons and blah blah possessed by 7 demons, and Jesus saved her and got the demons. It's all fucking lies, bullshit. Everything was done to lie about, to tarnish and feed you brainwashing bullshit about what feminine is. And all of these goddesses, Hecate is a triple goddess. She has dominion over heaven, earth, and the underworld. She who has many names. Let that sink in for a minute. Do you realize what I just told you? She who has many names. Hecate has dominion over heaven. Wait a minute. Isn't God in heaven? Oh, who has dominion over heaven? Hecate. And she has dominion over earth. But isn't God? No, he's made up fucking bullshit, remember? So he's here, the made up demon god that y'all fucking pray to if you're religious. You're praying to this demonic bullshit god, fake god that was created in and Hecate was removed and this so-called god was put in her place. She has dominion over heaven and earth and the underworld. She does. She's also the key bearer and keeper of the crossroads and protector of crossroads. I could do a whole podcast just to introduce who Hecate is. And of course, there's a lot of lies and bullshit, and they focus on dark underworld crap. Again, this is why all these goddesses are coming forth more than I have ever witnessed before, in order to bring all the lies to the surface, because it's done. It's over. That aspect of patriarchy is falling and just being dismantled, because more and more people are unplugging from the illusion, the delusion that everybody's been fed all these lies for all these centuries in order to enslave you all. So the second coming is coming. They're all coming. Hecate is one of my favorites. Kuan Yin, Sophia, Devi Durga, Shakti, Freya. I mentioned us, ascended masters, and there's too many to even mention. Athena, Isis, Venus, who else? Aphrodite, Dionysus. I could go on and on. I probably should have made a list of a bunch of them. Kali, Ishtar, and again, so many more. It would be wonderful for you to feel, if you feel a call towards any of them, if I mention a name, to go do some research. Now, you have to understand something in the way of responsibility, that centuries of lies and bullshit and manipulation and false stories have been written about these goddesses and ascended masters like Mary Magdalene. And it's been done for a reason. So just because you Google something doesn't mean the information is accurate. And that's the challenge right now. And this is precisely why the second coming. Because a lot of the nonsense, people just, that's what, Hecate is. And a lot of it is nonsense. Lilith, who's considered one of the dark goddesses. Guys, stop with the dark goddess bullshit. Again, that's all misinformation. It's presented in a way that does that tiny little drip of brainwashing in there, so that you're afraid of them, and they're like, oh no, they're kind of evil. Oh, I don't know, dark goddesses. The name to refer to them as that isn't accurate, and the education of what that might mean is lacking, of course. So goddesses such as, like the triple goddess Hecate, for example, has dominion over heaven, earth, the underworld, the earth, the sea, the sky. She is pure magic. She's anything that has to do with magic, no matter what master, magician, goddess, so-called god, they don't fucking exist, so some made up bullshit. Um, Anything that has to do with any level of magic, pure, beautiful, divine magic. There's no such thing as anybody performing any kind of magic without Hecate being there. She is the goddess of magic. She who has many names. She has dominion over. She is the goddess of almost anything and everything that exists. She's called the cosmic world soul. I mean, again, I could do a podcast just to introduce who she actually is. Original mother of dragons. She is seen with, black dogs as protectors of her. She's incredibly powerful. So when you look up any goddess that you want to research or you feel called to, or you're like, oh, I've heard of Kuan Yin before, I want to look her up. Be careful. You have to do enough research over a period of time to find where the manipulation, where the little drippings of bullshit are going to be dropped in there in order to taint people's opinions so that they'll stay at a distance from goddesses, where again, that's all patriarchal brainwashing and manipulation. That's why it exists. So that you're like, I don't know, feels uncomfortable. Oh, I fear that a little bit. Oh, I don't know. Well, the information you could be reading is likely some of it's tainted, or some of it's just completely not true, but some of it's just lies, because the lies have been built in and just dropped in there about goddesses so that you're like, oh, she was that. And then you think less of her and you don't worship her. And worship, I very rarely ever use that word. I've stayed away from that word because what worship means, I've taught before, Jesus didn't come here to be fucking worshipped. He didn't. And I've said that third dimensional patriarchal definition of worship is fucking disgusting. Don't worship anybody, ever. That definition, that energy, it's gross. Feel it. Ugh. Alchemize it. But again, what patriarchy has done has taken words, has taken our systems of divine feminine, of oneness, turned them upside down, flipped them, and everything is ass backwards and upside down. And so they take this beautiful, pure as the way of purity, even like the word worship. Worship does not mean you're lesser and you're a slave and somebody, external outside of you is divine and you're not, and you should bow down to them in this egoic, submissive way. That's insane. It's the way of honoring. It's honoring the greatness. It's honoring what that being has become. It's honoring what that being is. We should be doing that with everyone. The way of honoring. So again, that's for another podcast episode to go into what that really means when we talk about worship, that word, but it's a vibrational frequency. I want you to understand that. It's a vibrational frequency. So third dimensional patriarchal separation consciousness, never, ever, ever, ever for any reason should we be following anything that promotes separation consciousness, inequality, inferiority, and all the crap. It's disgusting. That means you're in a cult. So yeah, the whole planet has been in a cult for centuries. I hope you realize that. There was a social media post recently that was brought to my attention. Somebody was sharing on social media about their little family community where they have like several or a handful of houses on I don't know how many acres of land, and they grow their own food, and the houses are like far enough away from each other where they all have privacy, but they were, I believe, family and like extended family. And again, growing their own food, just have their own little community, and they support each other and they help each other, and they're there for each other. And somebody commented, somebody commented on it and basically called it a cult. Said some sarcastic comment that it was a cult. And what's funny about it is this person is in the military. It's like, no, you dumb brainwashed man. You're the one in the fucking cult, you dumbass. You are literally in the cult. You're the one brainwashed. You're the one that is literally in a fucking cult. People functioning in unity and oneness to the best of their ability, where they're building communities and they all help each other and support each other and everyone thrives. You call that a fucking cult? Do you realize how psychotic you are? How dumb you are? That's what you call a cult? People working together in harmony? You see how flipped upside down everything is when you come from the brainwashing of patriarchy? You're literally coming from a cult. So everyone has the conditioning coming from that with which they were born into. You were born into the cult. Waking up and coming out of the cult is what waking up for real. That's the true spiritual awakening. Okay. And it doesn't mean you wake up and then go enter another cult, which is pseudo spiritualism, which is the same vibrational frequency of patriarchy. It's just looks different because you're spiritual now. That's not the second coming just because you're spiritual. Oneness consciousness is you are connected to the purity of your own divinity, your soul. You become those universal ways of oneness. You become a being of oneness. You're devoted to it. You do the hard work that is necessary for you to dissolve and dismantle all of the programming that you run yourself, that keeps you at a lower level of consciousness, that keeps you still brainwashed or connected to the matrix, which is the patriarchy. I hope you understand. Should know that by now. Waking up out of that doesn't mean you enter into a subcategory of patriarchy, which is just spiritual, pseudo spiritual bullshit. It's just another cult. But you working and functioning in community, helping each other, growing your own herbs for healing, growing your own food that is free of poison, helping each other so that everybody thrives. Everybody is, equal as the way of equality, but you're all very different because that's what oneness is. We're manifested into different forms with different skills and different abilities because all of our different abilities help the whole community of people and animals and beings that we are living with. Do you understand? The torture and desecration of animals. Hello? Cults do that. Sacrifice, torture, murder animals and eat them. Hello? And the fact that we think we can take all these female animals, force impregnate them, and do whatever we want with their bodies, take their milk, take their babies away from them. That's patriarchy, misogyny, cult, domination bullshit. Think about that. And you think you're worshiping a God that promotes that? That's not a God. That's an egoic man who's full of himself and is out of balance with toxic masculinity versus being in balance and wholeness and oneness in the way of harmony with his feminine energy, forgetting where he came from. He was only birthed from her, like everyone has been. Let that sink in. The second coming is coming. It's infiltrating this planet more and more and more and more. It's goddess energy. It's sacred feminine. That is the sacred feminine, the second coming. That's what the second coming is. And it is your job to ignite that and activate that within yourself. Because feminine energy is transformation. You do not heal, you do not transform without feminine energy. Period. End. That's what it does. It's the creator. So if I, the creator, created these frequencies, I'm the ones that can transform the frequencies. transform them into something else. I, the creator energy is feminine. If I birthed these frequencies, this depression, this arrogance, I can alchemize that and transform it into a different frequency. I, the creator. So the creator aspect of you is feminine. In patriarchy, men siphon, they enslave women so that they can siphon their energy, so that they can manifest. You can't manifest without feminine energy. Obviously, women are going to carry the most feminine energy on the planet. Hello. Is it sinking in more deeply? So that energy through women has been siphoned. It's been stolen. Energy vampires, slave owners. That's men. That's patriarchy. Siphon women's energy and use it to benefit themselves. They leech off of women's energy because you're built differently. You don't function the same way energetically. Women are the physical portals to manifestation. Women are the physical portals of the creator. Women have a direct connection, and not connection. It isn't even accurate to say connection. We are the portals of non-physical. Literally, in human form, that's what women are. So the second coming is sacred feminine, and sacred feminine is rising. And by the way, for men who are waking up for real, this never means that somehow you're not a part of this. Men that are waking up for real, what is really critical to understand, why is it so critical for you to understand what the feminine is? Oh, get this. You ready? Open your hearts. Because that's what's been missing from inside of you this whole time. It's why you're a fucking mess. And it's why you're emotionally fragile. And it's why you're unhealed. And it's why transformation is so hard. Because the feminine inside of you has been deactivated, severed, cut off to lead you into a more elevated state of being. That is feminine energy. That's that's creator energy, which is feminine, which is oneness consciousness. So when you're still, to whatever degree, brainwashed by the patriarchal cult that we were born into, you still view feminine as separate from yourself. Does that make sense? This is for men. And some women, of course. You still view feminine separate. The women over there, women versus men. You're still viewing them, it as separate than from you. Do you understand that? So then your toxic, masculine, emotionally fragile ego gets hit when you hear certain things. Wisdom, truth that are spoken out loud, especially when it's spoken out loud by a woman. It's going to, oh, I don't like what I don't know what she's saying. I don't like what she's saying. It's triggering me a little bit. For those of you who are authentically waking up, and I'm talking mostly just to men right now, for the men that really are waking up and doing the work on themselves, it's important for you to understand when you continue without realizing it to keep the feminine or women, that represents the feminine, sacred feminine, separate, like outside of you, her versus me kind of thing. You're keeping the divine feminine separate within yourself. So you're blocking your own elevation and your own healing. Do you understand? So it is critical that you dive in and learn everything and absorb and integrate everything that is feminine, because it's an aspect of you that has been missing from yourself this whole time, which is why you're a lower level of consciousness, which is why you struggle. You're trapped in suffering, because that's what patriarchy has done to you. Do you understand? It's the second coming is the return of the feminine on this planet, sacred feminine, which is oneness consciousness, which is the creator of all that is energy. It's the creator within yourself. There's no such thing as you being a human and being a man, as we stick with men for a minute. And creating and being a creator just as masculine, just as a man. The only way you create is by tapping into feminine, whether you're siphoning it and stealing it and being an energy vampire from women in your life, because you do that. Men do that all the time. It's what patriarchy fucking does. Whether you realize it or not, you've been doing that because you've learned how to, that's what conditioning is. Okay. So whether it's that or you've tapped into some feminine energy yourself, because it's supposed to be a part of what we all are, feminine and masculine, right? And it's not 50-50. Get out of here. Doesn't exist. You tapping into that part of you is what allows you to manifest things in your reality. You're either going to do that or you're siphoning it and stealing it, sucking the life out of women around you, sleeping with them, dating several at once, cheating, using your girlfriend, your wife, your whatever, to have them support you and do all the things for you and take care of you like they're a fucking mommy. Will you go out and be successful? Well, you're siphoning and stealing their energy. You're using them. Okay. So the second coming is, think about this. So the 4B movement. Why do you think the 4B movement got ignited? And think big picture, macro, think macro. 4B movement got activated on this planet because of the second coming. Sacred feminine is coming back. Oneness consciousness, where we're all in harmony with one another. It's coming back. We're not going to steal from women, from the feminine, from the land, from this planet anymore. We're not going to murder. We're not going to violate. We're not going to rape. We're not going to dominate. All of that's going away because the second coming is coming and it's here. That's sacred feminine energy. That's oneness consciousness. Let that sink in. Very exciting times. And as that occurs and as that continues to happen, there's no blocking it. There's no denying it. It's not happening. It can't be prevented. She's already here. It's coming. More and more and more pouring onto this planet, waking people up, waking women up more and more. I mentioned the 4B movement. Why do you think that is? Because women, as the second coming, are waking up to the way that they've been used and abused, their energy siphoned, their life force energy used for the benefit of men in a patriarchal society, not in a loving, relationship of honoring of both people. If you're a heterosexual couple, it's women have woken up and continue to wake up at a faster pace all the time, which is why they're like, okay, time out. You know what? If you're going to treat us all like this, fuck you. No dating, no sex, no marriage, no nothing. Get the fuck out of here. What's wrong with you? Grow up and go heal yourselves. That's where the 4B movement, that's why it's flooding the planet. Because this is the second coming of feminine coming back to rule the planet and rule, obviously, oneness. Again, I know I said that several times, but I'm reminding you because you're used to that patriarchal definition of ruler being some dominating, sadistic psychopath that uses you and abuses you and enslaves you. That's not what feminine does. It doesn't exist. You're in toxic masculine with no balance of feminine if that's how you show up, man or woman, man or woman. That's how you show up. That's the problem. You lack feminine. Okay, so I'm going to say it again. Masculine energy, there's no such thing as that being separate from feminine. Toxic, unhealed, you've ripped the feminine out and disconnected from the feminine. That's why you're spiraling down in your piece of shit. That's toxic masculine. But actual masculine energy, there's no such thing as that being without feminine. Feminine birthed you. That's like saying a baby, there's no mother. Like part of the baby is not mother. What are you talking about? She's the one that grew you in her body as one, physically, spiritually, energetically, and then gave you life and birthed you. What do you mean? Like masculine energy is birthed from the feminine. Feminine created you. Feminine created masculine. So masculine is birthed from and with feminine. There's no such thing as divine masculine energy just being divine masculine energy. Now, you teach about it. I teach in a way where you can understand sometimes one thing at a time, right? So we'll single out masculine energy and talk about what divine masculine energy is, and we'll talk about some aspects of it and what it means. It's that divine separation because it was birthed to be a separate thing. And I've had podcasts on this before. Go back and watch those if you haven't, so you can understand what that is, because I've gone over what divine masculine energy is. So I focused on it, and personally I've taught about it in a way where I've kind of segmented it out and focused just on that for the most part, so that you can gain a better understanding of the aspects of divine masculine, right? So that's just a teaching tool, because how much can you learn in 1 hour or whatever? So you teach in segments, there's nothing wrong with that. But now that you understand that, you also can understand in a more elevated way now, if you've digested that and integrated those teachings. There's no such thing as divine masculine existing without feminine. It's also feminine. It's automatically both. It can't not be. When we remove the feminine aspects from ourselves through the brainwashing, through the abuse, through the cult of patriarchy, that's when your life goes downhill. That's when everything starts to get poisoned and it gets damaged, and you're hurting and harming others, and you're hurting and harming yourself, and blah, 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 because you're literally ripping the actual life force energy out of you. That's what feminine energy is. Life force energy is feminine energy. You need it to thrive. And when that's lessened or removed or oppressed or whatever, you start to do the opposite of thriving. Okay. And so you really understand that. What is then the second coming? It's the return of sacred feminine energy. It's not a man. It has nothing to do with being a man or a fucking god, made up bullshit, satanic, lying. I want to dominate and create this planet and make it a slave planet because I'm a sadistic sociopath. That's all going away. That's the spiritual war. But you need to understand what the spiritual war really is. It's toxic masculine, it's patriarchy trying to desecrate the true goddess, the one goddess of all. And this planet was a representation of that. It functioned in goddess energy, in oneness consciousness. It was a mostly predominant feminine planet. All things existed in oneness. And this planet has been turned into a slave planet. So the second coming is the return of sacred feminine and the return of oneness consciousness. And for those who are waking up for real, you're waking up to that, and you're waking up to that at the micro level. You yourself as an individual, you don't heal and transform and elevate anything without sacred feminine energy coming online. The only thing that transforms, all magic, all miracles, feminine energy. Do you understand you are feminine energy? Even as a man, you're feminine energy. And it's time to connect to that. Feel the love and the nurturing from that. That's feminine energy. That's pure divine energy. And you're to connect to that within yourselves, woman, man, whatever you want to be or call yourself. Fine. But this is missing. So people who are sociopathic, psychopathic, the narcissists, all you're missing sacred feminine energy, and you're in this toxic bullshit that you've been brainwashed to be, and you're delusional and mentally ill and all the things, like all the crazies of the world. Healing only comes when you connect to divine feminine energy, because you are divine feminine energy. And just because you're a man doesn't mean you're not divine feminine energy. You're supposed to be. We birthed you. So we gave us to you to create you. You're an extension of us. Hello. Which is why the feminine needs to be honored. And that's the second coming. It's coming back. Feminine as the leaders, feminine as the teachers. And men who are in balance with themselves connect to that energy. And a little quick, I'm going to give another reminder. Feminine has nothing to fucking do with being effeminate. And I've taught this before, but maybe I think now you're ready to hear it on a much more elevated level of what this really means. It's not about being effeminate. It's not about being a social construct of some lies made of bullshit that patriarchal society taught you what it means to be feminine, girly. It doesn't matter how girly anybody is. It has nothing to do with divine feminine energy, whether you're girly or not, whether you're a man or woman and you're girly or not. Okay? Like, you're fine. You can be whatever the fuck you want. And whatever your characteristics are, if you have flamboyant characteristics as a woman or as a man, good for you. That has nothing to do with feminine energy. It's not feminine. You see why that brainwashing and mixing up and not even having different language for these things? Why that's the case? Because that's the conditioning and the brainwashing, so that you rip feminine energy out and you disconnect from her, the one goddess, the creator of all. You're disconnecting from the creator that is you when you disconnect from feminine, and you don't even understand what it is because you think it's effeminate. Social construct of girly. You can be as girly or not as you want to be. Whether you can be a man and be girly, you want to be whatever, go ahead. Hey, have fun. Have fun, ladies. Go out, be sexy together. You see that there are like women only clubs, and the women go and have a fucking time of their lives. And a lot of them still are they dress so sexy because they're just having fun. It's not about fucking men. Not dressing they're dressing because that makes them feel good and they're having a blast. And good for them. It's amazing. I think it's awesome. I see videos and stuff of it pop up on social media. I'm like, fucking rock on. Where's this at? Where's this at? Where's this club at? And yet, that has nothing to do with feminine energy, what divine or sacred feminine energy actually is. Do you see why our language dumbs us down so much? And why, when you learn to read energies and you wake up for real and you elevate higher and higher for real, things start to take on a more elevated meaning because you're becoming the way of wisdom. You can't become the way of wisdom if you lack feminine energy. When you lack feminine energy, look at how fucking stupid people sound. Look at podcasts, broadcasts that are out there. I mean, I'm embarrassed for them, how fucking stupid they are. And you probably think I mean that and they're inferior and I'm insulting them. I'm not. Like, I'm embarrassed for them. The level of fucking stupidity. It's embarrassing. Grown ass men function like this in the world. It's like, how do you put pants on? I don't know how you get dressed in the morning and move through. I don't know how you turn to the microphone on. How did you even set up the podcast? It's so challenging for me to even comprehend how you're that fucking stupid. But you got the mic to work. You're recording, you're broadcasting. I don't know how you put pants on and get through your day when the level of stupidity, because you lack feminine energy within yourself, which means you lack wisdom. It's time to bring her back within yourself. The true God, goddess. That's the second coming. That's the goddesses on the planet pouring their energies into the planet right now. And it feels so beautiful and amazing. Oh my gosh, it is. It's just such an incredible feeling to feel this pouring on the planet. more than I have ever felt it in my entire life so far. It's very exciting. Understand that feminine energy ignites transformation. Remember, I mentioned this. I've taught about it before, yes, but I've mentioned it a bunch of times in this episode alone. Feminine energy ignites transformation. So, as I wrap this up, because we're over an hour at this point, and I'm going to shut up here in a minute. Feminine energy ignites transformation. Nothing heals, nothing elevates, nothing transforms without feminine energy. Remember, I said it even several times in this podcast now, on this episode. Really let that sink in and understand what I'm teaching you right now, because the more goddess energy that infiltrates the planet and infuses and integrates and makes herself known in all the different various forms that she comes in, which are all the goddesses, the real ones that exist, okay? That's infiltrating the planet. That's infusing into the planet, okay? And the more that happens, it means the more transformation will be ignited. It means darkness will be lit by the light that we, the feminine, are. So you're going to see more horrific things because, like Hecate, just Hecate alone, for example, she who has many names, she's the light bearer or the torch bearer, oftentimes depicted carrying two torches. Why? She has no fear going into the darkness. She has no fear facing evil, going into the underworld. She enters into the darkness completely, but she does so with the symbolic representation of torches. She does so, she, as the light that she is, she lights up the darkness with the light that she is. That's why she's often depicted with holding two torches. She lights the way. She is the goddess of the way, the ways. She lights the way. She enters darkness fearlessly, often accompanied by her black dogs or by a dragon or her dragons that work with her. She's not afraid of any fucking thing, no matter how dark or evil. She goes right in and she lights the way. That's Hecate. And it's just one goddess that is completely infusing herself onto this planet, showing herself to countless people all over the world. That's just one goddess. She, the one, the goddess, the creator of all that is. She expresses herself in countless goddesses and has created countless goddesses. And they are all flooding this planet right now in order to raise us up to create a new earth, to win the spiritual war of violence, of patriarchy, of cult leadership and domination and enslavement on this planet. This is the second coming, and it's happening right now. It's a very exciting time to be alive. So, if you want to be a part of this more deeply, go to mastersofselfuniversity.com. Look at the courses and the things that we offer to study from. Become a student. This is a new earth metaphysical university. Become a student of truth, of harmony, of wisdom, because this is what we offer. We are creating a new earth with what we become. Do you understand that? New earth isn't created for, here you go, little children, here's a new earth, here you get to live on it. That's not how this fucking works, because feminine is in charge. Because this is the second coming, and we're back. So we do things in a divine way, in powerful ways, not in cowardly ways, by intimidation and fear and raping and controlling and enslaving. That's patriarchal bullshit. Sacred feminine doesn't have to function in that way. Sacred feminine is fearless. We are the light that enters the darkness and alchemizes everything as we move through it. That's sacred feminine energy. And sacred feminine energy is back on this planet. You've had long enough to do what you've done, and you've done nothing but destroy, intimidate, rape, murder, harm, disrespect, and dishonor. And that time is over. The second coming of oneness, sacred feminine, is here, and she cannot be stopped. See, as loving and nurturing as she is, she patiently, as the way of patience, flows with what is as the way of surrender. And she's given you a chance to step up and to elevate out of all the evil, fucked up, dysfunctional ways that you've embodied, to continue to destroy, self destruct, and therefore cause destruction everywhere you go. She's given you enough time as the way of presence, as the detached observer, watching, waiting patiently, guiding you to choose to be better, to be healthier, to be more loving, to be more divine. And that time is over. That time is over. You've had enough time to choose better for yourself, for this planet. So, all of you who choose evil, destruction, to be dumb, and continue to allow yourself to be brainwashed by cult leaders of this planet, the time is over. The second coming is coming. It's already here. It's happening. And it's very exciting times. So, grab your popcorn, enjoy the show, and more importantly, become a being of oneness consciousness yourself so that you can create a new earth and actually experience it, gain from it, live with it, on it, as it. That's what we're here to do. Thank you for listening. Sign up for Masters of Self University. Become a student at our New Earth University. I will see you in the next episode and hopefully in our MSU classes. Bye for now, everybody.